Well, welcome back, Kieran. That's been an incredibly absorbing period of time, and I've learned so much, but I guess there's much to learn, and people aren't aware and don't know. I mean, I think a lot of this behaviour that we're seeing and how people deal with it, because you go to see someone who's often in a crisis of some sort.
Yep.
So in that situation and so forth, the level of learning is phenomenal, and the opportunity for those people to learn is absolutely phenomenal. So for me, thanks for the education. It's been like a major lesson on two areas. Okay,
Yep.
I may have met you because we were talking about squirrels, right? But I've learned so much more, and I see what you do, and I realise how insulting and how derogatory calling you the rat man is, which in a way I didn't really realise before, but I now do realise.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so let me ask you, what's the most uncomfortable lesson that you've had to learn?
Oh, what, in pest control or life?
Yeah, in pest control.
In pest control.
Well, you can do both if you like.
Oh, what's the most uncomfortable question? That's a good one. What's the most uncomfortable? I think something really hard is people with delusional psychosis. That lesson of how to be around and how to help people. So delusional psychosis is when people think they have a bug or a pest and they don't. And they will swear blind that they do. That is very difficult to deal with. You know, some pest controllers won't even get involved because you know when you get the phone call that the person is pretty much going to have delusional psychosis. That's a really hard one. You know, I've actually gone on a course to got my CPD points on a course to help me with that. Because what we mustn't do is, well, first of all, what we have to do is ident the pest. So we have to identify the pest. You go into a house, somebody said, I've collected them in a jar. You look in the jar and there's nothing in there and they go, look, they're here, you know. So if we can't find anything, we're not even allowed to put monitors down because that feeds the delusional psychosis. So we have to be very, very careful on how we deal with those people who are suffering from it.
Is that very frequent or not?
Yeah.
Is it?
It does happen. Yeah, about once a month. We'll get someone with delusional psychosis. You have to kind of breach that subject with them about there's not a pest there, and kind of work out how bad this is for them. From that, then what I would do is say, okay, well, we haven't found anything this time, but what we'll do is we'll rearrange another time to come back. And if a family member could be here, you know, and then we can have another look and a discussion about it. So then I'll get a family member to come and then have a private word with them and say, look, you know, your mum, your dad, whatever, there's nothing here. I think they need professional help, and you kind of lead it through that way, where a lot of pest controllers can't be bothered to do that or don't want to do that by choice. And that's a really difficult one. It's really sad. It's really sad because people will say, I did have one lady, I got this one totally wrong. And she said to me, she says, I've got these bugs, I'm pulling myself apart. And I said, okay, if you could put them in a jar, I'll come and have a look. So, I was just a bit slack on myself, really. I went in there just dressed as I was, and I had a look. And this time there was bugs in there, and they were body lice. So I doubled back quickly, got back to the van, put all my gear on, protective gear on, and we found out that, yes, she was suffering with body lice, and we traced it all the way back to an old people's home, to an armchair. So she was going to visit someone and sat in there, put her head back on the armchair and picked up body lice. So that wasn't psychosis, and that was an actual problem. And yeah, so it is quite a difficult one, and it is, that's a sad one to be around.
What did failure teach you that success never could?
What did failure teach me that success never can? Suck it up and carry on. You know, learn from it, learn from your mistakes, and come back bigger and better. You know, I've done that through meeting Morris, the guy who, the horticultural guy I worked with. He made me realise that, doesn't matter who you've been, you need to move forward and build on what you've got. So he was a big catalyst in that. But yeah, I've been ill. I've been really ill, where I could have just given up. I could have just, sat back and gone, oh, that's me. But no, I strive, I fight.
I hear a determination in
Yeah.
you that sometimes I don't hear from other people.
Yeah, or ignorance. Yeah. I am determined. I'm determined to learn. I think learning is food for the soul. It really, really, really is.
I mean, I think actually, given my background and given what I've been involved in my life, I couldn't be anything but a huge supporter. And interesting enough, I was talking last night to Steve, the head teacher who was part of a podcast that I did previously, who years and years and years ago, when his kids were quite young, he had a stroke and he ended up on the floor having had a stroke, all of one side, and had to learn through rehabilitation to walk again, to actually exist again.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying, and I think people, and I'm sure you have the same thing because you talked about it or you alluded to it, this catastrophic nature of being tired. And it's not just tired, it's you don't want to do anything. You're utterly exhausted. And the fatigue is phenomenal. It overtakes everything. And Steve was saying that he was building up, he just finished half term. He was saying that just before, and he wasn't really quite sure, he may have had to revisit that because he was incredibly fatigued. And he ended up spending the Sunday before starting back on the Monday, right, basically going home from the supermarket. His wife had to take him back home because he can't drive anymore, had to take him back home, and he went to bed. And he was there in bed for most of the day and actually slept through the night, but then recovered and kind of came out of it. And I'm sure that you could speak volumes about what fatigue is actually like, because it's not just here, it's physically incapable of almost wanting to do anything at all.
It is. I remember I was probably about 6 weeks out of hospital, and we decided to get the hallway painted. So we had these guys come in to do the painting, and I'm in the front room. I looked ill, I was ill, and the guy came in and said, "Oh, can you just come and have a look to see if this is right, what you want?" And it was a real struggle to get out there, and just going up the stairs, I overcooked it, and I had to just go back and collapse. Well, I didn't have to. I did. I went back and I was on the sofa, and he came back in and he saw me and he really thought I was going to die. I was that bad. And yeah, bless him, it freaked him right out. And yeah, so from that is the mental game is huge. The physical game is huge. Chronic fatigue it hits you. People say to you, well, just make a coffee, you'll be right. Nah, you gone before the kettle's boiled. You're out. You just can't do it. It's a real fight. I had a real battle, but like I say, I've got a small group of friends around me. My wife, who's just amazing, who helped me through it. Because you get good times, bad times. I couldn't sleep in the same bed as my wife at the time because I would wake up screaming, cold sweats, thrashing around, and it was a real problem. I was given drugs, I was given pills from the doctor to try and curb it all down, but then you just get hooked on opioids, and then it's another ball game all around. So it's a very fine line, and anyone going through it, I feel for them, and I never want to go through that again.
Okay,
it's horrible.
I think there's an amazing modesty about you, but at the same time, beneath it and under the surface, there's an enormous story to be told about the growth and the development that took place. If we go back from our conversation right from the very beginning, being isolated or actually being on your own and also shut out for the world through the experience of hearing loss and so forth, and actually the whole bit through school, the beginning of work and everything else like that. What I was struck by when I first met you was actually how connected you are to the environment, and it's been your saviour in lots and lots of ways.
Mm.
Can you speak to that for a moment and tell me, why is the environment such a saviour to you?
My belief system, I don't have religion, I have a belief system, and it's very heavily nature-based. It could be classed kind of pagan-y kind of thing, but it's known as Wiccan. And that is using the vibrations, the energy that the land gives you. Every 6 weeks, I get a spiritual massage. So it involves vibrations and bits and pieces of that. Then afterwards, I will always go forest bathing, because that's where, I find my peace. I'll take my shoes and socks off. I'll walk through the woods, and I will just reconnect with nature. It's just something that's I've always attuned to. I've always had a love of. Probably stems from my gran, to be brutally honest, and my granddad, because they were big gardeners. They were really big gardeners. And as a child, we were like, we're going up to see Nanny. They would always have something in their garden we could eat. No matter when we went up there, they would always have something, from a strawberry to a carrot and I was always marvelled by that. I was always like, wow, so you do that and that does that. And I think that's where it kind of, that's where I bubbled up from, would be my grandma and granddad.
You said something else to me a bit earlier on, outside of this conversation that we were having, and I see two things. I see Kieran as the pest control officer, or whatever else, technician, whatever word we need to use. And then we see Kieran the person. Not lots of people actually really understand or get Kieran the person, do they?
No.
Is that because you keep it constrained?
Yeah.
You don't share it?
No, not really. I'm all right now, but growing up, I was a closed book. But now I've survived, I've managed, and if I can share that, then that's a great thing. But the real me, I think really only my wife knows the real me. My family don't know the real me. I'm very insular with that. So, which I'm fine about. I will share my experiences, and I will talk about anything. But there's, like you say, everyone's got the bit they don't mention. Apart from my wife, she knows exactly who I am. Grumpy old sod. So, but yeah.
But also that level of knowledge that you have, and that level of experience that you've grown over this time, and that desire on your behalf, and that acquisition of knowledge or new learning is voracious. You really are hungry to learn more and be better. And I can hear your ambition would be, how do we educate people about pest control? Because I don't think the majority of people really understand what it's all about at all. They think they do, but they actually have no idea at all.
To educate people is a real difficult one. It's the preconceptions of the rat man coming around, just wiping everything out with poison and then leaving again. It's moving away from that. It's a very, very slow journey. We've got things like pest identification, AI stuff, which is so inaccurate, it's terrifying. People think they've got the knowledge, they've already got that knowledge, and they won't change, because I already know that. When they put that out, you just cringe, because you think, that's so wrong, but they will not change what they want. In horticulture, I used to do lots of talks and demonstrations, and I am thinking of going back doing that with pest control. It's just talking about pest control, really, about the environmental side of it.
Well, I really do hope people get an opportunity to listen to you now, because I think whatever their so-called view may be, I think you would have fundamentally changed that perception. Certainly, and it's quite humiliating to sit here, because it's completely, utterly changed my perception about what it's all about and what you actually have to do.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I really mean that. It's been great. And I think the fact is that unashamedly you're prepared to share and expose what other people wouldn't do, I think is really, really important. And you may have had masks of various sorts. I think over the years, you've actually learnt that as a piece of behaviour. And you can become quite sophisticated at it. I'm trying to imagine the younger Kieran who could not hear properly, who is masking everything and just getting by, or making it up or guessing what it is that's actually happening on, or going or speaking like, oh, what do they say? And finding people who would help you. Right, because you do develop a whole bunch of tactics to survive under those circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but people do that, and they take that into their adulthood as well. I can think of things that I do, which I've learned as a tactic as an adult, which enable me to survive in certain sort of situations, and they become part of that armory of learning that we have. And as we grow and we grow older, I don't think actually, and if I go back, and I can say this to you, I don't think I had any idea about what you really do and what it's all about until we sat down and started having this conversation. And I hope other people will really enjoy listening and being a part of that conversation, because I think the easy thing in the world that we live in is to have a label that says this is what you do with no idea really about what it involves.
Yeah, and the thing with pest control, it's ad hoc. You know, yeah, you got rats in your home. You know the basics of what's going to happen, but it's all ad hoc on what you need to do, when and where and how and who. So that's the chase that I love. I love the chase. You know, to catch the rat, you've got to become the rat. You know, it's the more knowledge you have, let's say on rats, the more knowledge you have about rats, the more you can do your job. You know, so the knowledge is power. So the thing is, we deal with hundreds of different types of pests, so you have to have a broad knowledge on all bits and pieces. The best ones I get are the poo pictures, where at 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning, it's like, I found some poo, what's this poo? And then you get a poo picture to ID. You get footprints, you've got, and that's what I love. I love the learning, the chase, the trying to find it. And if my enthusiasm boils over and other people can learn from it, then, you know, I think we're all on a winner, really.
So most people, when they contact you and they pick up the phone to speak to you, are phoning you because they have a crisis of some sort.
Yes. Yeah.
They're rarely phoning you to go, hi, Kieran, how are you? They're actually phoning you because there's a crisis. I've got rats in the drawer or whatever else it may be. Yeah. Or in my case, it was we think we've got squirrels in the loft space.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. It's like, sorry to phone you on a Sunday morning, but it's fine. You know, it's part and parcel.
Goes with the territory.
It does indeed. It's no, it's a great way of life.
I mean, you're much maligned and misunderstood as an occupation and in terms of what your job really is. I don't think the majority of people really know very much at all, and the only time they're going to find out is if they have a crisis of some sort.
Exactly. Yeah.
As you said, their perception is, oh, he's going to come, he's going to kill them all.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and some people will get in touch with you and say, oh, we've got rats in our house, but we didn't know what to do or who to call. You know, not even to know to call pest control. They didn't know pest control was out there to do it. So yeah, it's a very niche market. It's stigmatized by we're murderers. You know, we just come and wipe out things and kill things. And it's just nice to be able to put it out there that it's not necessarily, you know, like that, really. So
with it comes a big chunk of education.
It does. It's education is key. You know, learning is key moving forward. Not only in learning different species that are coming in, it's also, you know, technology moving forward with it. It's just the whole bag, really. It's just moving forward with life.
Can you think of anything, Kieran, that you think you held as a belief very strongly and you now look at it in a completely different way?
Yeah, don't trust people.
Don't trust people.
Yeah.
Where did you learn that? Or was that a belief?
I was brought up in a very religious household where all adults are correct and you must do what adults say. And from that, I very much learnt that people are out for their own. I learned you don't share your ideas of business with other people because they'll just nick it and steal it. People want you to fail. You learn that just moving on in life, really, that actually, the trust of people was something I had hugely because that was drummed into me, which I fell very hard when I realised that ain't quite right. So,
What you mean the first time that anybody lied to you and cheated you or took something that wasn't theirs
as
or
an
whatever?
adult, an adult doing
As
that
an
to me,
adult, and you kind of went,
yeah,
what a
Yeah.
shock.
yeah, huge shock. Yeah.
It's interesting, actually.
Little naive me.
Okay. Do you have a specific example or not?
No, not today.
Okay.
No.
But it was just a generality of learning about
Yes.
recognizing that people have different motivations to do whatever they're doing
Yes,
and
for
why they're doing it
Yeah, for their gain.
and why they're involved in it. And
Mhm.
a lot of it is driven by something that is good for them and not necessarily good for you.
Mm. Yeah. And also, you can work for people, can't you? Bosses who slap and stroke technique, who want to keep you poor, want to keep you down there, so they own you. Things like that. Really, you then wake up to the fact that actually, you're not here for me. You're here to make your own money and do your own thing. And
So they're highly manipulative in the way that they behave.
which is part of business, but it's something I don't need in my life, and I walk away from. It's I'm at a stage where luckily I can, to a certain extent, pick and choose. And I've always, like I said earlier, I will walk away from people if you're not doing me, I'm not intellectually stimulated by you. You're not helping me in any way. I will move. I will move on. I don't need your help because you make me feel ill. Your energy, your vibe or whatever, just don't need to be around that. So
It's interesting, actually. And do you think that that's always been there, or is that something you've learned later on?
that's something. See, growing up, I was just angry. I was an angry little boy. At school, I was angry. I couldn't hear stuff, do whatever. Messed around, didn't turn up at school, got in fights, stole cars, all the rest of it. So yeah, that was then, and then I've learnt that later on in life when I've actually gone to college, started learning, realised actually I'm not as stupid as everyone was telling me I am, and kind of learnt that later on in life.
I wonder how many people there are, and I don't know, and I suppose you must have an empathy or an understanding. I wonder how many people go through their adult life and actually live their life with other people not really knowing who they are or not appreciating just how capable they are and that they can do extraordinary things and that they have all sorts of talents that they don't have.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's hard, isn't it? Where you can see in someone something, but it's up to them to find the light. To light the flame, to get them fired up to go. It's like someone smoking. You can tell them all you want, or you need to stop that. But until they want to stop, that's when they'll stop. And it's the same. You can see potential in someone, but you can't push them. Example are, I've got a friend. She was an artist, still is an artist. She was like, I need money. I need a job. I don't care what it is. I'll do it. I'll do any job. So I went away and I got her a job. I said, right, weekends, working on a till in a garden centre. There's a job. Oh no, I want to do something in an art shop. And you just think, I'm not gonna go there anymore because she needs to get off and do it herself. Employing people, if there's a young person, but their mum comes in and says, my son, my daughter wants a job, you ain't going to employ them because their mum's doing it for them. They need to come in and go through that uncomfortable bit, like we all have, and do it for themselves. Driving test is a great one to a learner, isn't it? You at 17, your mum and dad ain't going to hold your hand. You've got to drive and you've got to do that yourself. And it's the same in life.
Yeah, but don't you think it's because a lot of people fundamentally mistrust children anyway? Well, they earn
In
that
pest
reputation.
control, in pest control and children, you can go into a house, and the parent will be like, "Oh yeah, saw a rat in that room," and the child will a lot of the time go, "Yeah, and I saw it gnawing on the leg of that chair," and you go, oh, "Okay then," and then you go, "Where are the gnaw marks then?" Oh well, and they follow on to help mum. You know, they've got mum's back or dad's back. So you can't really believe when the children say, "Oh, I heard it running up there as well," because it's really difficult. So the belief in young children, yeah, it's difficult, isn't it?
So you can walk in. I mean, your job must involve you sometimes walking in to completely dysfunctional families, i.e.,
Yes.
they're all over the place, or they're living in squalor, and you kind of look at it and go, it really isn't a surprise you've got an infestation of whatever else it may be, simply because you don't take enough care, you don't take enough time, and you don't pay enough attention to actually getting rid of waste and so forth. We were talking earlier, almost incidentally, about rats being in a bin. They wouldn't be in the bin unless people were throwing food in the bin for the rats to have as available.
Yes. Yeah, food source.
Yeah.
So rats will look for three things in life. They want harbourage, somewhere to live. They want a water source, and they want a food source. So if you can take one of those away, then you're going to crack the problem straight away.
Right.
They're not going to be around. Like in the case of the bin, the big wheelie bin, people have put in food in there. So food will turn to food juice in the heat. It will start to sweat and everything. There's a hole in the bottom, drips through, rats smell it, up they go, and happy days. So by removing the food source and not putting food in there, keeping the bin locked and putting some wire mesh over the bottom of the drainage hole in the bottom, you won't have rats. Done. So no killing needed. They'll just move on. And because it's down by the watercourse, they'll just carry on going up and down the watercourse like the rats will do.
Yeah, but in your world, you must also know, and I forget what the number was, within, I don't know how many feet it was, within people's homes, there will be a rat.
Yeah, I think it used to be 6 foot, but now it's about 3.
Is it?
I believe. Somewhere around there. Yeah. Yeah. So, but you shouldn't live in fear.
Do you get upset because I think, are we environmentally ignorant, or are we not paying attention as we should do and living in some sort of harmony with what's going on?
I think it's too easy to type in your phone or a computer something and not actually go out and get fresh air, not actually see it. You know, in between filming here, you know, I'm outside, I'm looking down by the brook there, and I'm watching the dragonflies. You know, just how amazing is that? It's just to get out there to see it. I don't know. I don't know if people are aware. You know, don't burn coal. You know, look at the pollution in China. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. But people don't want to do it themselves. You know, I think it kind of like, and people have a certain amount of knowledge. If it's right or wrong, they have their belief, and it's the re-education or giving them another option and showing.
I mean,
them.
you raise the subject of how people access knowledge and how they access information. And as you rightly say, most people instantly are going to their phones to kind of look at something, or they're Googling it. If they can't find it on Google, they suddenly become experts because Google says this or whatever.
Yeah. I've got a mole on my face. It's Dr. Google. Dr. Google. Cool, it could be cancer. You know, it's terrifying, the stuff that it can pump out. And people take it as real. AI, with the AI videos that you can do now. And you see it on social media that people believe it. And you think, but that's so obvious that's not real. But people are, oh my God, look, oh. And you're like, wow, people are believing that. It's terrifying. So it is a scary, scary world we're starting to move into, I think, really.
Well, I think it's actually what people's perception is. And also you said something else, which I would really attune to, is that younger people are not spending time outdoors. They're not in touch with nature. Whereas I grew up in a world where certain kids I remember, and they were often, comments would be made about them, would spend their time fascinated. They'd find something, they'd want to keep it, they'd want to nurture it, they'd want to look after it, they want to care for it. They found a bird that was badly damaged or whatever, they'd get a box and they'd look after it and so forth, and they'd feed it, and they cared. But now our association is completely different in our relationship.
Mm.
I mean, I think as a society, or as societies generally, I mean, how can we be, I mean, I listened to the news last night, how can we be in a position, having gone through the weather we've just gone through, be in denial about climate change, for example?
Yeah. But we can.
That we can, but we do. And there are lots
Mm.
of people who think it's nonsense, it's absolutely rubbish.
Yeah. Everyone's got a right for their own belief. Who am I to say they're right or wrong? And that's what makes it terrifying, because you can get the backup of a search engine or AI. Oh, and that's the truth, because the AI has told me. And that.
I mean, I used the phrase to you on the way over. How many times, in terms of people being called out, are you walking into, I know. I've already looked it up.
And we charge extra for that. It's called the Google tax.
I know. Right.
Yeah. And you think, why am I here then?
I know.
Why am I here? Or it's, let me come up in the roof space and show you. It's like, well, no, please don't, because I will miss something, because you will be talking to me. Let alone it's dangerous and you shouldn't be up there anyway with me. And the Google tax. I think a lot of businesses charge a Google tax, not just pest control.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how people have now learnt the acquisition of that knowledge and the prejudice that goes with it and the ignorance that goes with it as well. Because all it does is to fan and perpetuate that level of ignorance.
It does. Yeah. My beliefs of and I'm right is cemented in because I've been told, and it's about research. It's like, I remember when we were voting on the EU, should we stay in, should we stay out? And somebody put something up about Boris Johnson at the time, or somebody slating him. And I went, that's really interesting. Where can I reference that? Before I share it, or before I make a comment on it, where can I reference that information that you've put out? And they blocked me and will never speak to me again, my friend, because I called them out on it, because it's a total load of rubbish. And for me, I will listen to both sides of the coin. I will listen to everybody's information that they've got for me, and I'll make an informed decision. And I think that's what's most important. It won't just come, it's from Google, so it must be true. It'll be, I'll take some from you, I'll take some from you, take some from you, and then I will find what fits me.
So doing your job at the moment, which involves helping people in a crisis, what frustrates you most of all?
Them telling you what to do. That's frustrating. Where, let's say a couple, no sexual preference, but let's just say the lady is going, I've had it over there, and the man's like, oh no, I can deal with that, I can do this, and you get that conflict because it's just not going to happen. And you will be coming back for visits and visits. You get someone to sign the survey form that says right at the end, you agree not to move any stuff. And then you go back there and, I saw it over there, so I've moved it over there. I saw the rat over there, so I've moved that over there. And we haven't caught anything. Well, you won't, because you keep moving it around. There's something called neophobia. Look into it, So that's the frustrating part. That's can be really frustrating, is the people who have that little bit of wrong knowledge and interfere with what you do, and then think you're rubbish at your job because you're not catching stuff, you're not doing whatever. That's the frustrating part of the job, really.
So what's the best bits? If that's the worst bits, what's the best bits to have success in terms of what it is
pest
you're
control.
trying to do?
Pest control is the best thing. It's a way of life. It's 24/7. It's just the whole thing of it. It's amazing. It's something. I was talking to my friend. I get home from work, I do my office work, and then I'm talking to my friend who's another pest controller, and our poor wives are just like, really? How it can't go on much longer. And we just live, breathe, eat, sleep, pest control. Different, he's more agricultural on farms. Do more domestics and other commercial buildings. So we have a lot of different ideas. We have a think tank. It's just.
So you pull those ideas.
We pull those together. We come out what's best, what's not. We look for resistance in rodenticides because that's something else we have to do. We cut tails. If we catch 3 rats in one place, We'll cut the tails off. We'll get them sent off to London. They will be tested then for rodenticide resistance. Then that gets plotted on a map. So certain areas of where I live, there's a road with allotments up the back. Now, the old boys who've always used the blue blocks to kill the rats on the allotment have, I've got some I've had in the shed 5 years, but I'll use that. So what then happens is the rat eats it, recognises it, eats it, gets poorly, recovers. Then it will have offspring, and they will have a resistance to that certain rodenticide.
Right.
Okay. So then all of a sudden, all you're doing is feeding them. They'll either avoid it because the blue block, that makes me poorly, I just won't go near it, and have avoidance, or they will eat it and it won't affect them. So they have resistance. So there's no point doing that. So as pest controllers, we will cut tails, we will send them off, and then they get put on a thing. So this road, I know I cannot, if I wanted to, use difenicum because of all the abuse of it, of the misuse of it, has now got a resistant strain of rats right the way up through that road. So, it's things like that as well. Is that part
How do you think people learn about pest control? Is it because they're dealing with a crisis? Is that when they learn?
Yeah, I think they deal with a crisis, and that crisis then can blur what they're learning because it's a panic. It's not sit back, relax and learn. It's a panic learn. And all of a sudden they get a woomph of information. Not all of it's going in because they're not focused fully on it. And that's where, the problem can lie, really. But, yeah, people only learn about pest control.
So, Kieran, run for me as your final kind of bit, right, your own little advert. Why should they get in touch with you? Why should you be the person that they call?
Customer service. I like to think I excel in customer service. I am very customer orientated. I will take their problem on board and make it my own to make sure that it gets done. I always go above and beyond. I don't necessarily kill. Some instances you have to, but I am more about the environmental side and working alongside nature rather than just this total blanket kill. And also, I can talk for England and I do a good job.
But also your customers will be saying that, won't they?
Yes, yeah. I get a lot now of referrals. Use Kieran, use Green Rock Pest Control. He's really good. He's really on it. I've got some lovely reviews from people. And I work really hard at that. I really, I want to please people. I want to do the best job. I do a job I expect that somebody would do for me, and I wouldn't do any less.
I actually deliberately put on your name on that board which says Kieran and misspelt it. I just wonder, in growing up, how often is Kieran misspelt and how often is Kieran misheard and actually said it in the wrong way, or because it's not a name that people have necessarily heard before.
No. Great one was, I remember once watching telly, my dad shouted at me, he said, "Hey, how do you spell your name?" And then I told him, and then he went, "Hey, happy birthday," and gave me a card. The worst one was years ago when I was young. I was in the doctor's surgery, and it came over the tannoy, Karen Buse, and I got up and did the walk of shame. It was, I was so embarrassed. I think that's the worst one, is Karen was called Karen. How did you get Karen out of that? And the first time, I have to say, I heard it when it wasn't me, it was in a supermarket, and someone said, "Come here, Kieran." And it bloody hell, it made me jump, and they were talking about a little boy. And I was like, oh, it's another Kieran. That's the first time I'd come across.
You don't meet many Kierans.
No, not really. And then you get Kyron and Kyran, Ron, and oh man, it's a minefield out there for Kierans.
Okay, we've just got to the end of our period. I just wanted to say to you, and really sincerely, I'm educated. I've actually learned so much. I love your modesty. I love your humility. And I feel very humble listening to you and the passion with which you've engaged with what you do. And I also feel as though I also ought to issue an apology that education has been your success now, but was also blighted your early growth.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. It's been really great, and I've really, really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
No, thank
Brilliant.
you. Okay. Good man.
Thank you.
Great.